Hey guys, hope you guys are doing well. Hey guys, I hope you guys, can I say guys, about 50 more guys? How about I say guys? Maybe there's not just guys watching, maybe there's girls watching, maybe there's both watching, maybe there's neither watching. Maybe you got people who got both guys and girls parts, or girls and guys parts, or alien parts, or Bigfoot parts. Maybe Bigfoot people watching, so I just, for some reason, just assume guys are guys are guys. Maybe it's gals, maybe it's girls, maybe it's women, maybe it's women upon men, maybe it's men who used to be women, maybe it's women who used to be men, maybe it's men used to be transgender or transtestical, I don't know, maybe it's everything and up, down, center, maybe it's the lava people, maybe it's the people William Shatner wanted for Star Trek 5, I mean maybe anybody could be watching this video. With that said, just for shits and giggles, my good friend Michael CP did this video. And just before I get back to watching some movies for paid requests, just want to go through the list he made on Letterboxd of films of 1990. I guess all that stuff I said at the beginning must be some kind of psychotherapy in my head, because the first film on the list, as you can see here, is The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. Now, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, I love this film. I think this film is hilarious. I think this film is very funny, and I think this film is underrated. Andrew Dice Clay at the time was a very popular guy in the stand-up comedian world. This is a guy that sold out Madison Square Garden at least twice, which was a very rare thing to do in terms of stand-up. But what happens with a lot of things when something is so hot, so popular, so super hot, going to the stratosphere of stardom, it could also burn twice as fast. Whether it be people or even TV shows. Think of TV shows in the 80s like Elf or The A-Team. When they came, they were huge hit, marketing bonanza, but then they only lasted like 4 or 5 years. On the flip side, you have The X-Files, which was okay, what's the show? And it slowly built up an audience, and then that lasted 9 years, not including the bullshit revivals. But getting back to this time when people were starting to bail on Andrew Dice Clay. Groups were saying that he's too dirty, he's too un-PC, they wanted to boycott his stuff, he's too misogynistic, we're not going to see his films, he's too mean, he's too rude, he's too cruel. That among other stuff, and then the critics were not kind on the movie. The film did not do well at all. And then chances of Dice doing movies were kind of buried, other than films like Brain Smasher, which, when you watch Brain Smasher, that's one of the disappointing things. Dice is not anywhere near the character he's portraying in this. Almost as if someone said, could you not do that type of character? And I like Andrew Dice Clay and Brain Smasher, but the film is very disappointing because it was cool to see Dice play a different kind of character, but the movie itself and then his persona, just you were still hoping for that Dice guy to come through. As well as the rest of the movie of Brain Smasher, there's a lot of disappointments. This, on the other hand, I think is very underrated. I think people don't give enough credit to how smart and satiric the film happens to be. Because the movie's about a rock and roll detective. This is a guy that gets gifts instead of money. And this is a guy who... And Dice Clay does a wonderful job before I do that. Great lines like, "Hey kid, you say the F word again, I'll knock you the fuck out. Now get the fuck out of here." And what I meant by witty and satiric, people will laugh about that. Like, yeah, what? Yeah, right, Matt. What the fuck are you talking about? Ronnie Harlan, who by this point had done Prison, the movie Prison, I should say, and was doing such a good job with this that 20th Century Fox said, you know what? You want to do a Die Hard sequel? Thus, this and Die Hard 2 came out the same year. Because while he was in the finishing stages of post-production, he got started on Die Hard 2. This is a movie that plays with the tropes. This one is almost a parody of action films on purpose, and not parody in the sense of Scary Movie or Airplane. Because you have a movie where the killer, the henchman that never dies, that's Robert Englund in this. And even though each death is so over the top, he gets a TV on his head. He falls far, far from heights and smashes to a fucking piano, yet he still doesn't die. Number one is a playoff for Robert Englund's Freddy Krueger, who never died, but also those people that they never stay dead. We gotta throw away our weapons and fight hand to hand. They play against that trope, where Robert Englund does it, and then Andrew Dice Clay's like, what the fuck? And he puts a gun out and shoots him. Tasteful worker. And thanks for being a snapperhead. What the hell does mano a mano mean? Use your head. Use your head. Like your hero, like the killer does the honorable thing, and the hero's like, you dumb fuck. I'm gonna shoot you. Almost like what Indiana Jones did in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Oh yeah, sword fuck that. I mean, the loved one getting murdered to make the drama more serious. In this case, it was a fucking gift he got from one of these rock and roll people that was a fucking koala bear. So he goes in and he finds this fucking koala bear hun. Or the fact that everything blows up. He goes in, his fucking microwave blows up, the house blows up. Oh, they got my car back. Immediately that blows up. Like it... Again, they play around with a lot of like the cliches, tropes you would see in these type of movies, and a lot of people don't pick up on that. Plus Dice's persona, the un-PC dialogue, which is refreshing to see against the pussified state of today, and the cast. I mean, you got people like Wayne Newton as your villain. Yes, Wayne Newton. And I got DeVita, baby. I've been pissed in the punch bowl. Priscilla Presley, who I believe she was in the Naked Gun movies, I believe. Moore's Day. You need to shit. You know, girls like that, when they should wear a skirt that low, or what was the word? I mean the phrase. When someone comes out with a skirt that high, they need to shave, and I don't mean their legs. Lauren Holly, who would be in films like Dumb and Dumber, Ed O'Neill from Married with Children, Booty Time across the USA, Vince Neil, the singer, David Patrick Kelly, if you remember The Warriors, come on play. He's in there. What was it? Terry Wooer. She was in Anaconda. She was in one of the Hellraiser sequels. I mentioned Robert Englund, Gilbert Gottfried. Again, a good cast, well directed by Rennie Harlan, who knows how to handle action, but first and foremost, it's a comedy that again plays against type of this mixture of action, comedy, and pulp, where it's a fucking funny movie, and it deserves a lot more than it's gotten. And in fact, fuck it, rate it. I'll rate it. Yeah, damn right, I'll rate it that high, because I think it's that underrated. To agree with my friend Mike OCP, talking about it makes me want to go rewatch the film. After Dark My Sweet, I have not seen. Apparently stars Jason Patrick. Something about they kidnapped a kid, but it doesn't look like that from there. It looks like a sequel to 9.5 Weeks based on this title. Alice. This is a Woody Allen comedy. I have not seen it. I don't watch a lot of Woody Allen movies. I can agree with my friend Mike on that. I'm not a big Woody Allen guy. I don't hate... Well, the person's kind of a piece of shit. Fucking underage girl, what the fuck he did. He doesn't really put that in his movies, unlike Victor Salva. Maybe he does in the movies I didn't see. But I wouldn't say Woody Allen is a favorite of mine. Awakenings. This is a solid film. It's a good dramatic movie. starring Robin Williams and Robert De Niro. These two guys here, if the, you know, rest in peace Robin Williams, I miss the guy a lot. Robin Williams plays a doctor who has this cure, and I forget if it's like a cure for Alzheimer's, or like it was a cure. And what it does is actually, now that I think about it, it gets Robert De Niro out of a catatonic state. When Robert De Niro can't move, can't do anything, given the cure, he's awakened. He enjoys life. And he's going on about, you know what, you guys, you take this for granted. Look what, you know, I'm able to do, you're able to do. Don't let this slip by. And Robert De Niro and Robin Williams, they both do a wonderful job. Robin Williams showed that he could do serious very well. And it's sad when you look at the cast, some of these people have passed away. I think Penny Marshall has passed away, the director, who did Jumpin' Jack Flash, which I love, with Whoopi Goldberg. I believe she's passed away. Don't quote me on that. But Robin Williams passed away. John Hurd from Chud and Home Alone. Max von Sydow. Let's see, you also have Julie Kavner, who is Marge on The Simpsons. Penelope Ann Miller from The Relic. Now, the depressing thing about this movie is the drug doesn't stick, so then he starts reverting back to the catatonic state. And that's a pretty depressing moment. For the movie, I get the point it was making, where live your life however you want, but don't let it slip by, because you don't know how long you'll get it. And even Robert De Niro, it's the fact that he gets this new lease on life, and then because the drug doesn't take, he reverts back to I'm trying to remember all the details. Yeah, I don't think the drug takes it and then he reverts back to it. It's just fucking depressing. It's fucking depressing. It's like, but for an intended purpose. So I'll give it. I'll give it 4. Why not? This is why I don't do star ratings, because I wouldn't be fair with star ratings. And I would be inconsistent. That's why I don't do ratings, is to be inconsistent. Because I only feel like what I felt at the moment. Air America. This is a film that's okay. I thought this was an okay film. I never loved Air America. The first time I heard about Air America is in Lethal Weapon, where Tom Atkins is talking with Danny Glover. He's talking about his operation. Oh yeah, they used Air America, drugs, the CIA, from Laos, the Vietnam War. It's like someone heard that and said, oh, let's make a movie about Air America. Where Robert Downey Jr. loses his pilot. He does some weird... He was like fucking around. I think we see that at the beginning of the film. And then he loses his pilot license. And then he joins up with Mel Gibson and these guys who take supplies, guns from one to the other. Mel Gibson's group, which also has people like Tim Thomerson from Trancers, Art LaFleur from the Blob remake. You have Marshall Bell. You got Lane Smith, who was in The Son-in-Law, and he played Perry White in the Lois and Clark Superman TV show. I remember the movie being worth a watch because of Robert Downey Jr. and Mel Gibson, but number one, it's not an action film as much as the marketing and posters make you think it is. And it's funny, I've seen the film, but I can't really say I remember a whole lot about it. Yeah, I can't remember a whole lot about Air America. I don't know if that says something. Well, this person says it best. It's billed as an action comedy, but it's more of a drama comedy. And if you like those two actors, it's worth a look for that. But yeah, I agree with this person here. The chemistry between the two is the makes the film watchable. Yeah, I remember just being okay, so I would put like a, I don't know. Uh, I would go with that, like 3 stars. Almost an Angel, I haven't seen it. I know that stars Paul Hogan from Crocodile Dundee, as well as Linda Kozlowski, which they were married at the time, or at least a couple. Also has Elias Koteas from T.C. Jones from the Ninja Turtles film of 1990. Speaking of 1990. It's funny with Paul Hogan. After Crocodile Dundee, he never really had another box office hit again. And in a way, that's sad because people forget how huge those Crocodile Dundee films were. They were huge. Like, the first Crocodile Dundee was probably the biggest hit worldwide. Maybe not in the US, but worldwide. In the US, it was at least number 2 or so. Like, Crocodile Dundee was a phenomenon. And the sequel, Crocodile Dundee 2, it made $100 million in the US. $100 million. There's not many films that made $100 million today, let alone Crocodile Dundee 2 in $88. Try to put that with inflation, how much that would be. That's a lot of fucking money for Crocodile Dundee 2, which is a good movie, as well as the first. I could watch all 3 Crocodile Dundee films, honestly. I like all 3. My favorite is the first one. And with all that money made, do they get anything for Blu-rays? No. 1 and 2 are in like a pack by together, not even individual releases. Any features? No. Not a single fucking feature. I mean, again, they only made hundreds of millions of dollars for the company. But, you know, can't have anything for that. As for this, a thief that saves a kid and he almost dies. He gets hit by a car and he thinks he's an angel. Oh my god, I'm an angel, so I gotta go help some people. In particular, tries to help Elias Koteas' character. Or Elias Koteas' character. And apparently Charlton Heston's in the film. Interesting. But yeah, after Crocodile Dundee 1 and 2, he could never get that hit back. Because this did not do anything. He did Lightning Jack, which had some fun with it, honestly, but that did not do anything. He's in a new film, which sadly doesn't look good, in my opinion. It's like, oh, it's cool to see Paul Hogan, but the movie itself looks very cheap and embarrassing, sad to say. I mean, you can find it on YouTube. It's supposed to come out sometime this year or next year. It looks embarrassing, and that's sad. Like, I like Paul Hogan, and it's him like making fun of the persona. I get that, but hopefully it's one of those where the movie's better than the trailer. I'll say that. But yeah, Almost an Angel, didn't see it. This movie's a piece of shit. I'm gonna open up a couple of these so that you're not waiting so long for the freaking things. So I can just boom, 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 boom. But American Ninja 4, I believe from the director who did the third film, this plot synopsis is a fucking lie. Joe Armstrong, Sean Davison team up to do battle against a terrorist and his band of ninjas. That's a lie, because they don't team up. That's one of the issues about the film. They don't fucking team up. Now, I know I have a friend named Fabio on here. Great guy. I think he knows a lot more about this. So if he sees this, feel free to comment down below. Wasn't there something about either Michael Dudikoff? I've heard stories that Michael Dudikoff was being a dick. I've heard stories that David Bradley was being a dick. I've heard stories that either Michael Dudikoff, he's like, who's this guy? I don't want to work with this guy. He's below me. I've heard other stories that David Bradley said, you know what? I'm the new star. I took over for you because I did American Ninja 3, but now you're come crawling back? No, you're getting on my territory. And for some reason, I buy that a bit more. That David Bradley's like, oh shit, now I'm going to be the second banana to this guy when I was the star in the previous film. Will that belittle my hopeful arc of getting to become a bigger action star, a bigger actor? Jealousy, ego, I don't know. Because David Bradley's nowhere to be fucking found. This had a Blu-ray, but I didn't watch it because I don't have it because I don't like the American Ninja 4. So I didn't see the interview, apparently with Michael Dudikoff. So I don't know all the details. The film itself, because I remember as a kid, I liked the American Ninja films. The second one being my favorite. The third film, I could watch strictly for Steve James. But then when you got to this film, it was just disappointing on so many levels. Where Steve James is nowhere to be found. I think he was doing another film. I forget what it was called. Riverbend. I want to say this is around the time he was doing a film called Riverbend. And maybe that's why he wasn't in this. To me, they should have waited. Which I find ironic because David Bradley, he's doing some stuff, he gets caught, and most of the film he's kidnapped. And it's like, oh, well, we need another black guy because we can't have Steve James, so here's another black guy who looks like almost the... He looks almost like the guy in Die Hard with the glasses. Working with Hans Gruber. Let's get him. It's not the same actor, but I'm saying, why didn't you just wait and have Steve James in it? Which would make more sense because Steve James is the guy who worked with both of these. So as a plot device, that would be the most convenient, knowledgeable way of linking the two. Oh, I'm the guy that knows these two guys. So, hey, I knew this guy named Joe. Bring Joe along. And whether it be David Bradley, let the fucking ego go to make a better movie. Because you know what? If you had the three of them, these two guys, and Steve James, is sort of a ninja, three musketeer type, a three-part team, kicking ninja ass around the cities, and the jungles, and where the fuck, in the vein of No Retreat, No Surrender 2, you could have a fun movie. But ego, and whatever the hell the reason being, bad decisions, not the best director, because you don't even have the director of the first two. I didn't. You have the director who did, I think, part 3, which was a step down from the first two. The villain did not do much of anything to me, played by James Booth. Lick my poop, more like lick my ass. And then Michael Dudikoff, he's fucking around, and then, he acts as if he knows the character Sean Davidson. I'm like, how the fuck do you know David Bradley's character? How the fuck do you know him? Where the fuck did you know him? You just knew him because the script said so. There's been this dude off doing his own thing, looking bored, honestly. David Bradley's mainly trapped. And it just... I remember one of the advertisements, oh, Super Ninja. There is no Super Ninja in the fucking movie either. On the back of the VH, this is Super Ninja. There is no Super Ninja. What Super Ninja? And then the only time these two are on screen is like David Bradley supposed to be fighting Michael Dudikoff. But for all I know, there's a bunch of fucking body doubles put in there. But there's not really David Bradley. It's someone having a Mission Impossible mask, because that worked so well in American Ninja 3 with the girl with the Mission Impossible mask. So let the bad guy do that. So he looks like David Bradley. I'm like, fuck. I don't even know if David Bradley used nunchucks in the movie now that I see on the poster. But I don't know which is worse, this or the fifth one. I really don't. I almost want to say this is worse. This is more disappointing. I don't know. But yeah, this movie sucks. I give it 0, but half a fucking star. And that's even too much. The Ambulance, one of my favorites of 1990, written and directed by Larry Cohen. May Larry Cohen rest in peace. I do want to pick up the Blu-ray from Stream Factory. I have a Blu-ray from overseas. But I mean, you know, being a fan of the film, it'd be nice to get the Stream Factory Blu-ray, you know, to play without having to mess with the region codes. Because if you have a region-free Blu-ray player, you gotta make sure you hit the right button in order to play. Wait, anyway. My favorite Larry Cohen movie, because it's the one I think is the most underrated. No one ever talks about this film. No one mentions of this film. Eric Roberts stars in it. He is the guy who he meets this woman played by Janine Turner, who would be in Cliffhanger, the TV show Northern Exposure. He tries to go out on a date with her. One day she gets sick in the middle of the street. An ambulance comes, takes her away. He wants to see if she's okay and cannot find her. She has vanished. She has disappeared. And so Eric Roberts is now part of this investigation along with this female cop played by Megan Gallagher, where they have to figure out where the hell to go, what's going on, and it deals with a black market, organ donating without your approval. You'll be in perfect health before you die. It has Larry Cohen's wit and fun sense of humor. Eric Roberts does a very fun, stressed out, wisecracking in a way performance. Wise ass. He's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite roles from Eric Roberts. James Earl Jones is this cop that's always smacking gum and thinks Eric Roberts is one of those killers, and he did a fairly over the top but still entertaining performance. Eric Braeden, once in a while, when I was a kid, I was flipped through in the daytime, and there'd be these soap operas, and I'd watch for like a minute and be like, nah, this ain't for me, and move on. And a lot of times they'd be Young and the Wrestlers daytime soap opera. So I'm like, I recognize this guy. And I was there, because originally they had another guy as the villain, but Larry Cohen said he sucked too much, so they got Eric Braeden, because someone he knew said, oh, he's really good in Young and the Restless. I know at one point the director wanted either John Travolta or maybe even Jim Carrey in the lead. It would have been interesting, but I like that Eric Roberts got the part, because I think Eric Roberts did a great job. I think Jim Carrey, I think it'd be a bit too early for him to attempt to do that kind of part. He could do that now, but I think it'd be a bit too early for him. I mean, that'd be before Ace Ventura and such. So I think he needed to sharpen his acting a bit more. John Travolta, honestly, you could kind of see, it's not the same film, but Blow Up, like that kind of thriller for Travolta to do that. Or even Chains of Gold. Like here, I think Eric Roberts did a wonderful job, and has some really excellent action set pieces where Eric Roberts is tied in the stretcher and he kicks open the door, and him on the stretcher is flying through the streets and almost getting hit by cars, or the ambulance is crashing through buildings and trying to hit people. This is really good stunt work, because one of the stunt coordinators is a guy named Spiros Rosado. Spiros worked on Maniac Cop 2. He did a shitload of stunt work. He did stunts for Expendables. He did stunts for fucking I think Tremors 2 and stunts for like various movies. And he would work on stunt coordinator for like Captain America the Winter Soldier and the later Fast and Furious movies to work on those action scenes. So this guy knew what he was doing. And at this point, stunts in this, just like Maniac Cop 2 and such, were exceptional for their low budget. Plus, like Eric Roberts has, his job is, he's a comic book artist, working for Stan Lee, and Stan Lee has an appearance in the movie as his boss. It's not a big part, but it was like, oh cool, that's Stan Lee. And the fact, I like the idea of an ambulance that picks people up and takes people, and you find out again it's this evil organ taking operation. Again, that's a fun idea. Was like I said, a nice dark sense of humor, fun characters, a personality to it. It has that Larry Cohen wit, and this may seem too high, but fuck it, no one ever talks about it, so I don't care. I'll put it that. Angel Town, really enjoyed the film as well. This is when they really wanted another Jean-Claude Van Damme, because they saw people like Van Damme and even Steven Seagal at this point becoming more and more successful, so they thought, well, who else can we find? So Oliver Drewner, Jeff Speakman, Mark Dacascos, they would get these people and try them out. Not near the success of Van Damme and Seagal, but they still made some good movies. Like Oliver Drewner, after this he did Nemesis and Automatic and Savate, other films I enjoy. But this was his first. I believe he's French. I want to say he was either with the French Foreign Legion or some kind of actually did like special ops before becoming an actor. And so we say, wow, this guy knows how to do martial arts given a movie. And at least with the film, he does play a guy who has traveled. They give an explanation to his accent, to him not being the most fluent in English, but I think he does fine for what the part requires. I thought Drewner had a good look, good style to him, very efficient in martial arts. And this is a type of movie that, no, it doesn't have the most original plot. As he goes to school, he lives at this place where these people are his tenants. Or he's the tenant for these people, and a mom, her son is trying to get recruited to this gang, and the son doesn't really want to have too much to do with it. They won't leave him alone. And so Oliver Drewner tries to protect the mother and the son and fuck up these gangs. And let's have Drewner kick a lot of ass, kick a lot of gang members' ass. And pretty fucking entertaining. Just Drewner kicking ass, taking names, boom, boom, boom. And I guess what you want in an action film. The lead guy works, the movie goes at a fast pace, a lot of ass kicking, and well choreographed fight scenes. And smooth moves. He's really good. Unlike, say, Don the Dragon Wilson. That's one of the issues I have with Don the Dragon Wilson, is that his fight scenes, they feel slow, and they feel... I'm sure he's good as a fighter, but I don't think of him as a good movie fighter. And there's a difference. What works in real life doesn't mean it will work on the screen. And yeah, I think Don the Dragon Wilson's a good fighter. I just don't think he's a great movie fighter. But him and Van Damme, they know how to utilize the screen. Because it is a movie. I don't know what I would rate this. I mean, I don't have a lot of issues with it other than the plot is pretty simple. The villain, maybe a stronger villain would have been nice. That would have been nice to have a bit of a stronger... Because I don't remember who the villain is. Mark Dacascos has a blink and you miss it role. as one of the people he beats up. So I mean, with that, I'll give it like I'll give it that. A full 5 I would leave for like maybe Nemesis, which I think is his best film. Now I do like this film. I do disagree with my friend Mike OCP. He feels this is better than the first film. I do disagree, because while I do like the film, Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte still have that chemistry together. And yes, I do admit the action scenes do have a bit more of a oomph to them. I do think the first film is better because at the end of the day, these are action comedies, and I think 48 Hours is a much funnier movie. There's still humor that works in this, but 48 Hours, it has, like I said, I just still laugh my ass off watching 48 Hours. And that whole initial butting of heads, you threw me in the fucking garbage, you. The fight, and the very un-PC nature, it felt more dangerous, it felt grittier with the dialogue and the way the city looks and the way the cinematography, like the streets seem a bit dirtier and dangerous, and the dialogue is a lot less PC with what kind of language they do use. But it makes it a bit of a harsher, but kind of a, in a weird way, a more fun experience. Maybe because they don't say that kind of stuff anymore, even though people do say that in real life. And also what this film suffers is just too much like the first film. That's one of the issues. It's too much like the first film. I think there's a lot more ingenuity, a lot more creativity that you could have gotten out of a sequel with these guys in it. And don't get me wrong, I do like the film. It's sad it got butchered so much from the movie studio. Brian James, who becomes our main villain, most of his shit got taken out, so his reveal of the villain comes almost out of fucking nowhere. Andrew Divoff, he's the biker. Andrew Divoff would be the Wishmaster. He's one of the bad guys, the biker who's the brother of the bad guy in the first film. But that's what I mean, it just, I like the film. I just don't think it's as funny as the first. And it's just a bit too similar to the first. And, you know, the first time it was a lot of fun and charming in a way with the roughness of it. Here it's a little bit glossed up for Hollywood, a little bit cleaned up compared to the first. So it lost a little bit of something, but it's still a worthy sequel. That deserves at least a fucking Blu-ray. So I mean, I would give it at least, I would give it that. That's a fair rating. This one is one of my favorites. I'll say right now that gets that. I love Arachnophobia. I never understood why this film has nothing on Blu-ray. This film was a hit when it came out. A lot of people have talked about this film. I think this film does a lot of stuff right. It has a likable lead guy who is very relatable, at least to me, with his fear of spiders. The whole spider angle, how many real ones they used and how they used it. That scene in the third act with all the spiders coming out of the woodwork. It feels like, ugh. And like playing around in the shower and around the toilet. It just still creep you the fuck out. Even the practical effects I enjoy. People make fun of it now, but fuck it. I still love the practical effects of the main spider and Jeff Daniels getting a flamethrower in the wine cellar. Where are you? That's badass. And killing it with a nail gun. Bullseye. John Goodman as the exterminator. He's a lot of fun. Supporting cast, you got Julian Sands from Warlock. You got Brian McNamara I just saw him recently in when I reviewed Short Circuit. Peter Jason is a guy that's worked with John Carpenter quite a few times. He was in Escape from L.A., he was in Prince of Darkness, Village of the Damned. This is a very effective plot. What if you had a spider that could kill you with one bite, and then comes to America, it was in South America, intermingles with a local spider, and that creates this new breed of killer spiders, and not using fucking shitty CGI like you would now in a Sci-Fi Channel, Roger Corman production, or is that spider that is also part spider, part pig, or part spider, part fly, or part spider, part fucking skunk, or whatever the hell combination they want to come up with. It's not big spiders that shoot out lava, or big spiders that fucking shoot out jello, or whatever the fuck shit they would come up in the days of Sharknado. No, we don't have real spiders. You can't train them, so take the time. And that is a lot of nice eerie stuff. I'm thankful this poster actually has the fucking spider, because when this film first came out on DVD, it literally had no spider. It was just the moon. I'm like, arachnophobia, is that the fear of the moon, or you have a fear of werewolves? But when the Blu-ray came out, at least they put the spider back on the fucking poster. So it's not just a fear of the moon, or a fear of werewolves. Full moon. But why not any features? Jeff Daniels, John Goodman, the director Frank Marshall. No one's willing to do an interview for this. No one's willing to do a commentary. Really? I don't get that. I don't get that at all. I'm not going to get through all these because it's like 200. Avalon I haven't seen. Bad Influence, pretty decent film with James Spader and Rob Lowe, where Rob Lowe is a very manipulative person. Back to the Future 3, I like the first two much more. Back to the Future Part 3, I don't hate it, but it's Michael J. Fox is good. Christopher Lloyd is good. It does tie up the trilogy. Doesn't, it does. I'm just not a big Wild West guy, so the fact the trilogy ends in the Wild West, I much prefer the way it was done in the first two. But I mean, it's at least it's a sequel that does not trample on the previous films like a lot of sequels have done. Betsy's Wedding I've never seen. Crossing the Line, I haven't even heard of this film. Looks like Liam Neeson. Let me just do this a little bit. An unemployed Scottish miner is forced into bare-knuckle boxing to make ends meet. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Well, I guess it's also called The Big Man, or Crossing the Line. Crossing the Line sounds better than The Big Man. The Big Man sounds like, I don't know, some porno. But you got Joanne Whalley, which I swear she used to be with married to Val Kilmer. Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant's in this? Never seen it, so I can't say anything about it. I know my friend Mike OCP reviewed this film, Blood Salvage. I have not seen it. Redneck named Jake routinely has people off the highway, performs sick medical experiments on them, then sells their organs on the black market to Mr. Stone. He kidnaps the handicapped April and finds out she is harder to control than the others. If Jake can't fix it, it's been dead too long. What's the other one say? 100 families a year get lost on vacation, never get found. Make that 101. Haven't seen it, so I can't say anything about it. I think John Sasson plays the dad of the family. Blood Oath, I guess also known as Prisoners of the Sun. Again, never heard of this. Russell Crowe and Brian Brown from FX. George Takei, Sulu from Star Trek. Terry O'Quinn from The Stepfather. The Japanese Empire operated a prisoner of war camp for Australian soldiers. Australian Army establishes a war crimes tribunal to pass judgment on the Japanese. Yeah, I never even heard of this film. This is a film that no one ever talks about. I remember this being okay. It's a bird on a wire. Mel Gibson, Goldie Hawn. They used to be an item back in the day. Goldie Hawn thought Mel Gibson was dead, but then he comes back into her life. He's like, what the fuck? I thought you were dead. And then they both go on the run. And some guys, including David Carradine and I forget who else. Like, David Carradine's going after them. David Carradine's the bad guy. Yeah, Bill Duke is in it, among others. I remember Mel Gibson being fun, as well as Goldie Hawn, them working well together. John Badham, director of Short Circuit, Stakeout, The Hard Way. Not a bad film. It's not a film I have watched a lot, but not a bad film. I mean, I would put this over Air America. And this is a film I need to watch it. I haven't seen it in a while, so I guess right now I'll give it that. Because this is definitely higher than Air America for me. Blue Steel. I really like Jamie Lee Curtis. Ron Silver, I wasn't really sure about his rationale. Well, he's crazy, so I guess there's now a rationale to it. But I wasn't sure about him, per se, as a villain. Not acting-wise, his acting was good, but some of the things he did, I went, huh? I'm not sure, but that might be another one where I rewatch. I'm like, you know what? I liked the film. Probably will like it more if I rewatch it. I do remember Jamie Lee Curtis being good. The ending really impressed me. Catherine Bigelow, I thought, did a wonderful job directing the action and the ending. That's another what Jamie Lee Curtis is playing a cop who's, of course, new and a rookie, so she makes a lot of mistakes. And, why are you making those mistakes? But because she's a rookie, to be fair. The Bonfire of the Vanities, from what I understand, the book was a lot more serious, but the movie was not nearly as serious as it should have been. Never read the source material, but that's a very... When people talk about bad films, The Bonfire of the Vandys comes up. Not only in bad films, but box office flops, and I know a lot of people say that Tom Hanks was totally miscast. And again, that there's apparently bathroom humor. And you look at the cover, it almost seems like some comedy. You got Tom Hanks, you got Bruce Willis smirking like he's fucking, I don't know. Tom Hanks thinking he's Bruce Wayne. Like, Bonfire of Vanities just seemed awful. Brain Dead. That cover is kind of misleading, because that cover makes you think it's going to be like, I don't know, Peter Jackson type of movie. This cover. That's a confusing film. Because you have Bill Pullman and Bill Paxton, and one, is he dead? Is he not dead? Is people fucked with him? Is he not being fucked? I still cannot understand what the fuck the film was about after the film ended. So that's one of those films I just give up on. By Dawn's Early Night, by Dawn's Early Light, I did not see. Bride of Reanimator. It's been a while since I've seen it. I remember it being okay, but not as good as the first. Cadence. I do remember liking Cadence. It's directed by Martin Sheen, who's in the film as the villain. Charlie Sheen is the star, who is in... It's a former prison. It's not really prison, but he's with this group of people, including, I believe, Lawrence Fishburne. And they don't like him because he's white, but he learns to get their trust and becomes part of the group, and they both... Yeah, young white soldiers thrown into a state populated by black inmates. Instead of falling victim to racial hatred, the soldier joins forces with his fellow prisoners and rises up against the tyrannical and bigoted prison warden, played by Martin Sheen. And then Lawrence Fishburne, like, oh, who are you? Get the fuck out. He's like, no, I cannot. And they start learning to trust each other, especially against their common enemy. It's a drama with a little bit of humor here and there, but this is pretty... The poster I always thought sucked. The poster... Like, what does this poster tell you? There's Charlie Sheen, and this makes it seem like a much goofy movie than it is. Oh, I'm the white guy. What's this? They're doing this? What does that mean? That's what Charlie Sheen's like, huh? I don't know why I think he's going to sound like Tim Allen. Huh? Huh? But, yeah, it's pretty good for the performances. Cadillac Man is great. He's no shit guy. You're no shit guy. Cadillac Man, he is a used car salesman, and he likes to sleep with a lot of women, but that catches up with him one day because Tim Robbins comes into the car dealership. He knows someone is fucking with his woman. Ron Williams is not fucking with him. Ron Williams is not fucking with her. He's actually fucking with someone else. But Ron Williams takes the heat, and by the end of the day learns to be a much more responsible human being. Him and Tim Robbins get to know each other a bit more during this whole hostage situation. It's a fun comedy. It takes a bit too long for the hostage situation to come into play, which I think that's really when the movie comes alive, but it is still a fun film. I didn't rank the movies that I saw. Blue Steel I want to watch again. I can rank these just because. Because I'm sure I'm not going to kill my voice on this. I'll get back to this another day and save up these videos, then upload them. But this, fuck it. I was not a fan of this at all. Bride of Reanimator. 3. I can't give it more than that. It's got some good makeup. Does explain how Jeffrey Combs is still alive. But he does work well with Bruce Abbott, but doesn't have as much of that magic. Maybe because it's not directed by Brian. It's directed by Brian Usna, not Stuart Gordon. This I can give 4. I remember liking this quite a bit. It's been a while. Cadillac Man. A fun movie. Like I said, my only issue, it takes a little bit for the... I kind of wish the hostage part was earlier in the film, because that's when it really kicks in. Because the best part is the two of them together. So, I'll give it a 4. I'll give it a 4. I haven't seen Catch Fire. I haven't seen Chicago Joe with Kiefer Sutherland. And since we're getting to the hour mark, I'll end it with these three. This movie's awful. This is a terrible fucking film. Directed by Albert Pyun, who I like Cyborg, I like Sword and Sorcerer, I like Nemesis, you know, I've Dollman, I've liked some of his early films, but this was not it. It did not have the budget. His canon films, they were, well, not even canon films, really. It's not even canon. It's, what the fuck was the company? 21st Century? I forget what the hell the company was that released this. I keep thinking it's canon films. Because in a way it was. On the last legs. Because at one point, yeah, we'll get Michael Dudikoff to play Captain America, which might have been better. I mean, from the rubber ears that were made on the costume to something about the guy who's the star had allergies, so he had to have rubber ear. Something about, was it allergies? Some reason, you know, the ears are rubbers, not his actual ears. The budget was fucking minuscule. Him being in a rocket as going to the White House and go doo doo doo. The Red Skull kind of looked cool, but then they're like, no, get rid of that. Most of the film, he has this weird face on as if he's fucking Jigsaw from the Punisher comics. The action is not that good. Because of low budget, you can't have Captain America doing a lot of his cool stuff. See, when people in this term, that's why I defend the Punisher. The Punisher kicks ass with Dolph Lundgren. The Punisher gives what you want in the violence and action department. This doesn't give you what you want in the action department. He gets his ass kicked by Red Skull like a pussy. Gets tied to a fucking rocket. Frozen. Comes out. Most of the time, he's not in his costume until the very end. The beginning and the very end. Well, the Punisher does have his skull. Yeah. I'll give you that. But the Punisher still felt more like the Punisher, and here, this actor, Matt Salinger was there, but I could see why I didn't see him in a ton of other movies. Like, this film just had a lot of problems for me. And the Red Skull, who, in a way, we're supposed to feel sorry for him when he's listening to this music and his family died. And like, what the fuck? Like, good job, Mr. President. You know, that's a goofy movie. Like that, cheesy. Use cheesy for movies like this. Nah, I mean, for the few times the Shield would like fuck up someone on a motorcycle, and Matt Salinger, I've seen much worse people in these kind of comic book movies. You know what? I'm gonna be lenient. 1.5 stars. I'll be lenient on it. Because it's still better than Captain Marvel, which I would give 0 stars. Child's Play 2, very worthy sequel. The only issue is I don't like what they did with the mother character from the first movie, that, okay, she's been taken away and she's in a hospital or whatever they... And then Chris Sarandon's never mentioned, and I didn't like how they dealt with that. But with that aside, I thought Alice Vincent did a good job once again as Andy Barclay. I think Chucky, they improved much on the special effects. I think they did a really good job with that. He was able to move a bit more. There's a scene where he's walking with the ruler, and the facial movements and faces he makes much more articulate. The death scenes are entertaining. I love the Discord foster sister, Christine Elise, I believe is her name. I believe that was her. I always get her and Jenny, I got her confused. I think it's Christine Elise. She worked well. I liked her character. I love the finale in the toy factory. That, to me, I would say is my favorite finale of a Child's Play film, because all the mountains of good guy dolls, just a very striking image. And like how Chucky like gets his arm caught and torn off, and he dies, so he makes a knife on his arm, and he just fucked up badly in that movie. Very fun. So I'd give it that. Again, it's not perfect because I wish they did a bit better job with like the mom and Chris Sarandon explaining much more satisfactory manner, not kind of depressing. But other than that, I do really enjoy the sequel quite a bit. And last but not least, Class of 1999, at least for this video. I love Class of 1999. It's the same director, Mark L. Lester, did Class of 1984. He also did Commando, Showdown Little Tokyo. And it's one of those films where it's a sequel to Class of 84, but not really, because it has nothing to do story-wise. It's just the same director as a Class of, and here's a year. In this case, it takes place in the future, where the teachers, now you have android teachers. It's an idea you gotta take a few steps to, a few leaps to gather that they don't put androids as teachers in a school. But you know what? It's a pretty fucking fun movie. I like the cast. Bradley Gray, he's the guy in Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors. He's the kid who Freddy makes into a puppet and walks his ass off the building. That's him. He got the star in the movie, which was cool. Malcolm McDowell was the principal. Stacy Keach was part of the android program, sort of the evil scientist. The teachers included John P. Ryan, Pam Grier, Patrick Kilpatrick, who was the Sandman in Death Warrant. Those were fun. And just like, you did a finale where you got android teachers shooting rockets and I think like machine guns, while a bunch of teenagers and on their motorcycles or going through all over the school, and there's explosions and shooting the shit out of android heads, blowing them up and torching the school, like this big old warfare with some fun old school effects. That was very entertaining. I even liked the end song, "Come the day, da 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 da, come the day." So other than the idea of the film, I'll put that. Other than the idea of being very ludicrous, it's fun, and that's what at the end of the day, I just want a movie to be fun. If you pull it off, your idea to be as ludicrous as it can, as long as you accomplish your goal. And I thought this did. So, with that said, thanks for watching. If you like this, let me know. I'll do more. See you guys later. Bye-bye.